think we need to
huge.
hear the story first. Like,
Yeah, I
what
was
was the
just
Yeah,
$20 million
yeah, and I'll
deal?
quickly share. Yeah, I'm working on a huge project, and the client we were working with, 10 months. So this wasn't, they take time, but it's 10 months of me and my partner's life to try to get this project going, and found out there was things missing that we weren't aware of, and the project had to be dropped.
Well, Celeste, can you imagine losing a $20 million deal and then being back in motion within a day? I can't, I don't know.
No, very hard to wrap my head around that.
I don't even think I could get out
You,
of bed the next day.
but if you also find that daunting, welcome to the right room. My name is Celeste DeCamps.
And I'm Jane Parmel. And this episode is going to be all about being built on momentum. We have our guest today. His name is Steve Ramona. Let's step into the right room. Steve, welcome so much. Thank you so much for doing this. Really
Jane and
appreciate you being
Celeste,
here.
Jane and
Nice to
Celeste,
see
you
you.
guys are rock stars. I am so excited to be here. And as I said before the show, love the room, the logo, and love the idea of being in the right room.
Thanks. Well, we have a lot of good help leading us along the way. I won't mention any names. You whistle, I point. Anyway, Steve, what we're doing here in the right room, each episode is going to deliver a story, a strategy, and a step. Basically, the moments that mattered, what strategy helped you move the needle, and then one action that our guests, our listeners can use this week to move themselves forward in their business, in their lives, whatever it is.
Beautiful. Love it.
And we would like you to take this moment to go ahead and tell us about yourself and your business.
Yeah. So I launched networking. That's my big thing. Your network's your net worth. I say now your network is your quality net worth, because you meet a bunch of people that are struggling. How far are you going to go? So I always teach people, find mentors and put them in your network, because they're going to help you grow. But at 18, my family launched a health club and got thrown behind the front desk like all kids at that age, and need to make some money before college. And I started building relationships with people 40, 50, 60-year-olds who were very successful, making lots of money. They became friends. So the conversation started with, hey, have a great workout. Hey, have a great day, to, hey, Tony, how was your birthday? Hey, Jim, how was your vacation? Hey, Steve, do you want to go out to dinner, lunch with us? We're going next door. Building relationships. And I've carried that over. I'm 64. Ever since, I learned the power of serving before selling, before transacting. And now, because of my podcast, which I launched in October 2022, we're almost at 900 shows. I was doing 5 shows a day. But it was my tool for my business to build that quality network. And now I met billionaires and multimillionaires who are now helping me build 2 actually smart cities. I'm literally building a city for 12,000 people, putting renewable energy, putting in clinics, schools. Think of a city that you live in. That's what I'm building. Now, people go, well, how'd you start that? It was through my network. Somebody reached out, said, can you help me out? I went through my network, and next thing you know, we're launching this project in Nevada, and it's a 100-year project. It's a unicorn. But again, I'm going to go back to my network and treating people right. This opportunity opened.
Oh, that's
I think
amazing.
that's one of the biggest takeaways that everybody should understand. The power of networking, that it's not just about you. Learn about the people around you. Ask them questions. Be interested, genuinely interested, and follow up. Obviously, that's what you've always done. And I think that is the way we create our opportunities. That's where we create the chance to really grow and learn and be that much better about any product or service that we're representing.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm
Steve,
going to say the word grow, excuse me, Jane,
no, it's
is
good.
powerful. I want everybody in the audience, look in the mirror. Are you growing today? Are you growing tomorrow? Did you grow yesterday? Yesterday's gone. Tomorrow's not going to happen yet. But if you look at the mirror, thank you, Celeste. That's a powerful word, because I had to learn that. I'm 64. I only learned that 5 years ago. And look where I am today, and powerful things are happening because I'm learning and growing every day. Sorry, Jane, I just want to add that.
No, that's perfect. Thank you. Because I was really going to go there and ask you, you know, you talk about one of your first jobs and the growth that you just learning a soft skill that I think that everybody kind of shelves sometimes, but it can actually move you forward very quickly. You talked about that big loss, that $20 million deal that lost. Did you reach back into like what you had learned with connecting and asking the questions and reaching out and finding out how people could support you to help you get through that loss of it? Basically to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and get moving, a day later. Was that what happened?
I think we need
Huge.
to hear the story first. Like,
Yeah, I
what
was
was the
just
Yeah.
$20 million
Yeah. And I'll
deal?
quickly share. Yeah. I'm working on a huge project, and the client we were working with, 10 months. So this wasn't, they take time, but it's 10 months of me and my partner's life to try to get this project going, and found out there was things missing that we weren't aware of. And the project had to be dropped. One thing I learned from a mentor on my podcast, and this is a great lesson. He said on the podcast, be human for 24 hours. What does that look like? Cry, eat crap food, whatever it is that you do at a pity party, do it, because we're human. We're not these robots who go, I just lost 20 million. I will go the next day. No, I was pissed. Told you, my partner, I'm pissed. He goes, I know it's not good, but we talked about energy and momentum. And Max, my business partner, is so powerful when he says this. And that's what we did. But we also did is have projects behind that. In business, don't rely when if something happens like that. That's your unicorn. That's going to change your life. It's going to get you to retire, whatever, because you never know what's going to happen. That's the other thing I learned. But that humanizing it for 24 hours, I went to the gym, worked out, screaming, ate crap food. I ate pizza that day. Just had a pity party because I followed that. And the next day I got up and we found 2 more projects we were working on and started moving them forward. Whether it's 20 million or $20 or 2,000, when we lose, it hurts. Sports teaches that all the time. We're in the Olympics, the figure skater, tearing up. I mean, all that work, all those hours, but you know what? Maybe he'll do it another 4 years or whatever it's next for him. He had his pity party and I heard he moved on. We need to do that in our business and our life. It's hard to do. I'm not saying it's easy, because it's not, but we have to learn to do that.
Okay, but then take us a little bit further into that. Okay, so you give yourself a day. I mean, I would probably need a month, but you took yourself a day. But then what was already built in? What was the strategy already there that you were able to, did you immediately pick up 2 projects, or this was 2 projects that maybe was on the back burner as you focused on this deal? I just like to hear a little bit more of that process.
Brilliant question. You guys are awesome hosts. This is so wonderful because the audience, you're going to learn something. Couple of things. One, we had projects already in the queue or in the funnel, whatever you want to call it. We always are working on projects. But on a side note, when I start with networking, every month I get 2 or 3 people going, hey, I've got this project. Can you help us with? So this is the back door of networking. When something fails like this, I got 10,000 people I can reach out to, literally. And I've reached out to, 2 or 3 millionaires. Hey, you guys need help? Or I need help here. So 2 things is having those projects. Don't rely on one project, have multiple. Or if you don't, your next day, you're going to go to your network and go, hey, how can I help you? I'm a business coach. I need a project, or I'm working on this project. Can you help me? It is so powerful. I reached out to my network for $100 million funding. Really familiar with this. And I had 14 emails, 24 hours of people, hey, these guys can help you. These guys can help you. These guys can help you. $100 million. It's a crap load of money. And I still, when I say it, cracks me up. But that's the power of your network. You're a plumber and you're looking for more clients, reach out to your clients. Follow up, as you said, Celeste. Find out who they know. And here's a tip for the audience. It's a great thing that I teach that's been successful when people take action. And I'll jump on that in a minute. Go out to your network, your contact list on your phone, people that know you. Send this quick email, quick question in the subject, and say, I'm a plumber. Do you know anybody that needs plumbing service? I'd love an intro. Business coach. Do you know, and I work with CPAs. Do you know any CPAs that could use some help in their business? I'd love an intro. And just over and over, whatever that you're looking for, I call it referring through people. Don't go, Celeste, I'm sure you have a plumbing problem. Can you hire me? Because I'm sure you have problems. That's referring to you. And that's okay too, if you get to know somebody. But if they're new to you, like my guests on my podcast, I refer right through them. Well, Tony, you said this, and I love your energy on this. And he'll go, man, thank you so much. He either ask me, how can I help you? And if he doesn't, I'll go, Tony, can I ask you a favor? Sure, because the energy's high. They're so excited. I go, I'm looking for landowners. You know any landowners? Yeah, I know 2 guys that got 1,000 acres. Boom, introduction's done. Guess what? I got more projects now I'm working on. So that $20 million failure, I won't call it failure, learning lesson. Now I just go back to my network going, hey, I need more help here. Do you know people here? And people will start bringing you more projects or things that you can do. It takes your mind off that too. Within a week, we forgot all about it. Can't say we laugh about it, but we do talk about it. And we learned. What a learning lesson, $20 million lesson. But Elon Musk, Mark Cuban, Alex Hormozy, Tony Robbins, I've listened to all of them. They've had all the similar stories.
Yes, of course. But I think the other question I am sure people are asking themselves is, how do I build up that kind of network? I mean, I'm sitting there going, I don't know anybody who would even know anybody who would have 1,000 acres, or these kind of resources, because I think that's also something that tends to hold a lot of people back is where do I network?
I'm loving this show. I hope you bring me back. This is wonderful because this is so powerful. It's really this simple. We don't know. So think about it. Both Jane and Celeste, think about the last month. How many new people did you meet in the last month? Guess. 5?
I'm going to say about 15, 20, yeah.
Okay, say that happens every month, and I see you 3 months later. Well, that's 35 people times 3. It's 105 new people. When I go to you, Celeste, and go, do you know any landowners? Oh, yeah, last month I just met Joe Smith. Because every month people are building their network, whether they know it or not. So we don't know what they're walking in, who they know. And I'll give you a quick story because I love stories, and stories part of what you do. I had a podcast guest, loved the show. He reached and asked me, man, you're such a great business guy. Can you mentor my cousin who's a bartender? He wants to start his own business. I said, absolutely. Side note, do it for free. That's what I do. Don't charge, Jane. You've been involved with that. There's a time to charge and time not. So I met with the gentleman, young guy, about 25, and I help him. He's like, oh my God, this is so great. I'm so excited. I asked him, can I ask a favor of you? No, he asked me, God, this is so great. What can I do for you? We hear that a lot when you're serving people. I said, I'm looking for a guest that can really bring influence. I want a lot of people to see my podcast because I love my message. He goes, well, I know Sergio, I think it's Sergio Page, Google's president. Sergey, it's his cousin.
Really?
I said, you know Mr. Page? I'll call him Mr. I was blown away. I'm like, yeah, I'd love to meet him because I will see what I could do. It never happened. On a side note, that's okay. But that's the power of when you said land, and that's the mindset of people. It's like, oh, Celeste and Jane don't know people with land. This guy, bartender, I'm going to ask. He'll probably say no, but every 50% of the time, every 10 times, somebody goes, I've got this guy. I met Zach Beach on a podcast on Monday. He knows Forbes Riley, who's done billions of dollars in business. And I said, would you introduce me to Forbes? An hour later, I got an email from her. Said, let's do a podcast on Thursday. That's really how simple it is. Here's the principle, and Jane, you know this principle. It's called the ASLA principle, A-S-L-A. And I'm going to, Celeste, take what you said so well about listening. Ask, shut up, listen, and ask. And I love the shut up, and I put it in there because people go, one goes, that's kind of crass. So that, why would you say shut up? Aren't I listening? Think about a Zoom room. How many screens are black? Yep. They're disappeared. For what? I'm being not judgmental. They had to leave. Or how about I was just at a restaurant and people are on their phone and I watch people. I love to observe. And the person was a female and male, or if they're a couple or whatever, doesn't matter. He was talking to her and she's on the phone. He looked up and then she finally said, what'd you say? I'm like, she wasn't listening. She shut it, but she didn't listen to what he said. If we can master that, which is not hard, it's practice, your network will grow fast because then you can bring value to people. I know what you guys need, and I did that for you before the show. I know you want to grow your YouTube. You want more subscribers because you have a beautiful message and you're wonderful co-hosts. That's what we should be doing, uplifting and bringing value to people.
Right. And that leads back to, leading with a servant's heart, the name of your podcast. It's an amazing thing when you can put in your head. Steve had mentioned that ASLA principle to me before, and I laughed because I actually led the next networking thing that I went into. I said, I'm going to say something and then I'm going to remember. And I made everybody in the room laugh because I said, I'm going to remember to shut up so that I can listen to what you have to say to me. And like you said, when you start to do that, when you can put that in the frame of reference as you're networking, as you're doing an interview, doing whatever, you take away so much more because you're not listening to, you're not waiting to respond and not really listening to the next person. If you're just shutting up or shutting your mind down to zone in on listening to them. I think that's so crucial. It's something really that you brought out to me years ago when we were doing co-hosting together with Steve. Shut up and listen. That's it. So I don't take offense to the shut up.
And I love the ask part at the end because what happens is some people ask, shut up and listen, and then they pitch. Oh, Celeste, I heard what you just said. You're struggling for clients. Well, hire me. I'm $10,000 a year, and I'll help you get more clients. And here's my program. Instead of ask another question, we don't dive deep enough.
Well, yes. And I think when people think of networking, it's all about memorizing their pitch and getting in there and saying it all the way through before anybody interrupts them and then moving on. And I never understood that. I thought, okay, we're not really having a conversation here. And you didn't even seem to be interested in what I do. And I see that time and time again. But I also understand too, getting into a group that really does want to collaborate, because that's not always easy to really find that collaboration to happen. Unfortunately, everybody looks at everybody else as competition. And I always thought that was backwards. The more you collaborate with people, even people that do the same thing as you do, it's also when somebody goes, oh my God, I'm overbooked. Who else does what I do? Oh, yeah, Steve does. Oh, thank God. I'll call Steve and see if he's available. But that's why it's so important to never look at anybody as competition.
Yeah.
And
if you guys heard the Apple method, sorry to interrupt. Have you heard of that, Apple? So Apple, when they started, who was around? Motorola, BlackBerry. Cell phones are already out. So Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, what did they do? They just made it better. They had a cell phone, just like those guys did. They just made the cell phone better. And that's what another mentor this, I'm going to talk a lot about mentors. Mentor Max watched his videos and learning from him. That's what he said. You could all be business coaches teaching mindset. what's going to make you unique and different? So I love what you said, Celeste. And when it comes to networking groups, here's a tip. Jane, I wish I knew this back when we co-hosted together. This is a powerful tip. This is Shelley Goldstein, who's been on my podcast twice. She's a speaking coach. Powerful. And what she said was, don't pitch yourself. We hear, hey, I'm Steve Ramona. I'm a renewable energy guy. I'm looking for landowners. I'd love a referral. We're really pitching. It is an elevator pitch. Well, and you guys all heard elevator pitch, right? And yeah, we hear it all the time. Well, let's do elevator story. And I just made this up just now. So what I would do is go meet in a group of 10 people, go, hey, everybody, imagine you wake up tomorrow morning and you can't get on your computer. Your power is out. Websites don't come on. How would that affect you? Would it affect your business? Would it affect your life? You get your head nods. People are head nodding. Well, what I do is solve that problem. I come in with renewable energy so we don't lose power because AI is taking all the power away. We come in and we find landowners to do that. Thank you for the time. Right. So you tell a story about your business. Mm-hmm. What does that do? People go, I know landowners. I know people in renewable energy. That's how I've built this business. I've got 5 multi-million-dollar projects because that's what I say. I don't go to many networking groups, but when I do, that's what I do. Audience, if you grab that tip and just come up with a story, because you could change that every time. We used to do networking groups, Jane. How many times we hear the same, I am a business coach, this. Okay. We're like, oh, same thing. Yep. You can mix that up and tell 3 or 4 different stories each time you go in.
Definitely. And I think he just brought us right into our room service section. I was just gonna say we have another part of our of the show, the segment of the show that we call room service. And basically it's asking you for one step our listeners can take in the next 48 hours or the next week to build a positive momentum in their business. And I think you hit the nail right on the head. It's going in and telling a story as opposed to just doing the ask or giving that elevator pitch. It's really great.
But do it with real purpose. If you're going to try that within the next day or two, to really have that story, to really know what is it that you could think of that is a challenge that you solve, and either ask if anybody else has had that issue or talk about that person you did help. Or like you said, start with your own failure. So, something where you really worked hard on and it didn't come through. But here's what I did. I mean, there's still a solution there. There's still advice. There's still an impact that you're making. But I think people need to have that in their back pocket. At least 2 or 3 good stories that not only show a solution, an expertise, but a willingness to share it freely without any string to pull.
Yeah, and I think that's leading off that or coming off of that, thinking everything is competition. It's really working together. I was with one group, bunch of ladies down in Florida, Women's Prosperity Network. That was one of the things that they talked about was co-opetition as opposed to competition, getting together with people that do the same thing you do kind of the same thing you do something that may be adjunct to what you do, but can be used by your clients as well. All those things, nobody's in competition with each other. We're all looking to cooperate with each other and build each other's businesses together moving forward. So, all great things.
And that also brings us to, what does it mean to you to be in the right room? What does that look like?
It just gives me the opportunity to serve. What happens after that will happen. Sometimes it's a transaction. Sometimes it's a partnership. Done millions of dollars in partnerships, and I'm not even part of them, putting people together. But it just allows me to build my network. The right room, you could walk out meeting a few billionaires, millionaires. Like my right room is my podcast. I mean, I say that and it gives me goosebumps sometimes because, wow, these are people in my network and the value of that.
Yeah, that's tremendous.
It's
And,
amazing.
and probably one of the best pieces of advice that I think people don't put enough emphasis on.
Yeah. Yeah. In the right room too, you can control that. It's the beauty of I love what you guys do, because it's just not the room or not the networking group. Is it the right networking group? Is the right business, the right room? You are in control. A servant's heart says no. I've said no more in the last year than I have in 30 years because I thought I had to serve everybody. No, because when and I teach this is another great tip for your audience. When you're selling something and somebody says, no, we're all selling something, it's a tough conversation. It's like, Gene, you pitch me and you're like, hey, I'll do this product. It's this much amount. Like, oh, Gene, I got to talk to my wife, or I can't do it right now, time, whatever. We're both uncomfortable. Even the greatest sales guy, it's just natural. Here's what the pitchy, is that right?
Yeah.
That's the wrong word, but person selling something.
Yes.
Here's what I teach, and it's worked magical for people. It's worked for me. I'll go, so I'm selling Jane something. She's like, I'm not ready. I can't do it. I'll go, Jane, in our conversation, I heard you say something about you need to meet this type of person. I'm going to introduce you to two people that do this. I think they can help you. What does it do? That level of stress. Like, oh my God, Steve, I said no to him and he's still serving me.
Right.
That's
amazing.
so powerful.
That's a totally different way to look at things.
Yeah.
Steve, I got to ask you a question. You, when we were discussing some things before this, you had said you need to get 1% better every day. What does 1% actually look like? I mean, I know I've heard that before. If you do 1% a day, you're 300%, by the end of the year. But what can you tell people that would actually look like during the course of a regular, ho hum Wednesday or Thursday?
I'll make it very generic. I've never been asked this question, Jane. This is a great question. This is really good. Is getting better 1% is look at your to-do list. Really being very general.
Right.
And going, I got to put my podcast up today. Okay. You just do that. You don't do the other two. That's a 1% better because you're out. I personally have got my name out there. So doing something that grows you, whatever that looks like for you, is that 1% that makes you better. Maybe it's reading 15 minutes of a book. Maybe it's watching a video. I watched Darren Hardy. He's a big success guy. He's got a free video he puts out every morning for 5 minutes. Been listening for a year. Game changer for me. I know I'm getting better 1% just watching that. I watched 3. So you need to look at yourself, look in the mirror, look at your business and go, what do I need to do every day to get 1%? Here's the cool thing. It's not finite. So I get 1% better today. Tomorrow, I decide to put up a podcast, read a book, and meet a great contact. Maybe I went up 5%.
Exactly. So everything compounds, right?
Like I told you before, what does it look like starting February 17th, 2026? What does December 31st, 2026 look like? If you're getting better every day, 1%, let's just use numbers. It's 200%, over 200%. Audience, think about this. Look in the mirror and think about this. Are you going to grow? Is your revenue going to grow? Is your network going to grow?
Definitely. If you're saying it that way, something's got to change because you are definitely making changes. And if you're talking about 1%, 10%, or 200%, it's there. There's definitely change.
And you're creating opportunities.
You got it.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. And everybody can do 1%. That's why I use the number. Somebody going to do 5%. Somebody going to do 10%. You got your Mark Cubans and crazy, crazy. I mean this in a loving way because I love Mark Cuban for me personally, because I just love what he's doing, but he's always doing something every day, even as busy as they are. They're always getting better, or whatever that looks like.
Yeah. Never resting on the laurels.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So I think, Steve, I got to ask you, where can people find you and learn more about you and your business and your podcasts and everything it is you do?
Yeah. Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. Just look it up. For whatever reason, I think SEO, it pops up at the top. It's a blue logo with a microphone. You'll see it. I have a community for business entrepreneurs, business owners, and podcast hosts and guests because I love to mentor them. I love both of you, what you do, and I love helping because I've learned so much after 900 shows. So I'll give you guys the link for that, and you can share that link out. And you can email me, stever1961@gmail.com, and reach out to me. I'll answer any questions you have.
That's perfect.
All
Yeah,
right. Well,
thank you so much.
we're gonna put
Thank
everything
you.
in on our show. This way, you have everybody that's listening can really reach out to Steve however they'd like. And Steve, I gotta thank you for everything you've done for us so far. I know we can keep learning from you because you're just amazing with all of everything podcast and everything servants. So thank you for being in the right room, and we invite you back anytime.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Celeste. You guys are wonderful.
Thank you,
All
Steve.
right, thank you.